The average murderer is arrested 11 times before he'll commit that murder. They graduate from small things to bigger, to bigger, to bigger, and eventually they murder. It is under these statistics, under these auspices, that I want to address further from yesterday the Charlotte monster who killed that beautiful, stunningly beautiful young Ukrainian 23-year-old, just 1 year older than my son, my oldest son. I was listening to Paul Morrow, former NYPD detective, and on Fox News a lot, and he said there's a couple things they tell women to do on the subways. Hide your hair, tuck it up into a ponytail in the back. Don't let it be long. I guess that attracts attention. Maybe it's also used to hurt people too. Second of all, don't make any eye contact. That was a new one for me. Maybe it's for females only. Maybe it's for both. I don't know. Well, she certainly didn't do either of those. She tucked her hair up. And I mean to say she certainly did do those. She tucked her hair up without knowing, probably because it's for crime, and she didn't look at the guy. She sat down, and he still murdered her because he was somebody waiting to murder somebody. His own mother tried to have him committed, to no avail. Now comes a woke leftist judge who said, "I'm gonna free you on your 14th arrest for beating the hell out of your sister only months after you were released out of prison for, armed robbery. 5-year sentence. I'm going to release you, will let you walk free on a written promise. You can just sign this written promise and go walk free." So they could murder that beautiful, sweet young lady, that gorgeous, sweet young lady. Florida Representative Randy Fine made this comment today with the picture of the monster who is accused of murdering that beautiful Ukrainian girl. And he put this next to the caption of the monster on the right side of the picture. It says, "This monster on the right is who the pro-crime Democrats want you to sit next to on the train and with your family for public transportation. You must know this too. This guy was a fare jumper. He never paid his fare, and they don't enforce it according to all the reports I read in the Charlotte Mugger Mover. That's why I call it the Mugger Mover, the Mugger Mover, and the jail rail. Carry if you can." This sick Democrat Mayor Vi Lyles, I think is her name. She literally, and we're going to get to her first statement, which I shared with you yesterday, and we're going to juxtapose it to the new statement 3 weeks later, completely changing her tune 3 weeks after the homicide. But the mayor thanked media partners, quote unquote, media partners and community members for not sharing or reposting the footage of that attack. Let me tell you something. We must see the attack. If you don't want to, it's your choice. But we as a populace must see evil. We must see what we are up against. We must see what is out there hunting for our daughters, for us, our sons, all of us. It doesn't mean live in paranoia. It means head on a swivel. Don't look at your phone. I'm not knocking a girl, but don't look at your phone. Look up and around. Be aware of your surroundings. But it is disgusting and angering for me to have for that Democrat mayor to say, "Thank you for not sharing videos." Share it. Share it everywhere. Share it. I love exposing the deepest, most darkest, horrible things to you because we need to know how evil and sick people are out there. Not to live in paranoia, not to live in fear, but to see what is out there, to know what you're up against, to know that you may cross the path of some evil like this, some wicked, sick evil like this, and that it's out there and to be prepared, and that we need justice for this. And the reason this guy is walk free 14 times on a written promise after a bevy of like a rap. Oh, let me show you. Let me show you the many faces of this sick monster who's been arrested for her murder. Here you go. 14 arrests. Count them. Look at this. Which one of these 14 arrests should he have been put in prison or mental ward locked up for the rest of his life? Which one of these? None. North Carolina said kill, and then we'll talk. And then when he killed, according to authorities, the mayor came out and said, "Well, it's just like he has cancer. You should feel sorry for him, have empathy for him." She didn't mention the beautiful Ukrainian victim's name. She told you murder centric. He's a victim too. Have compassion on the murderer. So, I'm gonna tell you that makes me wanna freaking scream. Everyone should see it if they're up to it. Like the Nick Berg beheading way back when in Al Qaeda, when I was, in Minneapolis, St. Paul when that went down. You didn't have to see it, but I told people to see the evil. See the evil. Not to glorify it, not to glamorize it, but see the evil, to see what is out there, what we are up against, why we pass these laws, why we have the death penalty, which is not for recidivism, which is not to make it less expensive, which is not to make it quicker. It does none of those. It is to give somebody the proper punishment created by sober-minded people. You, me, people that are not homicide victims or relatives of homicide victims, but people who soberly say, I want that for situations like this. Her name is I'm gonna probably butcher it again. Irina Zarutska, 23 years old, and the more and more pictures I see of her, the more gorgeous model-like she is, that beautiful sweetheart. Her dad, according to the New York Post, could not make her funeral because he's in a war zone, and so his daughter's body is buried in Charlotte, not in Ukraine. This is, an incredibly seemingly one of the worst pictures of crime that every Democrat is crapping their pants in now because we have been well, you and I have been awakened already, but awakened many-fold over. This is and we're gonna get to Brian Stelter in a minute with his lisp. It's a lisp. It's a lisp. It's Brian Stelter. I have to talk with a lisp. Can't believe that guy can procreate. Nonetheless, we'll get to that in a minute, but, he's mad, and the liberals are mad, and the Democrats are mad that this video is out there. They're mad that the crime narrative is true, and they're mad that that video shows it. This is just like the Dixie Chicks crap way back in the when they were trying to force country music stations to carry Dixie Chicks music when they peeved off their fan base. They would have forced country music stations to play the music, and in this case, they would force us. They would literally hide this video from us if they could. And Brian Seltzer, in his piece, which I'll play for you in a second, basically says, "Don't look at the video. I got it. It's too nasty, and it's being used from MAGA. Let me look at it for you. You're too stupid and simple to figure this out. I will figure it out for you, and I will tell you how to decode this and decipher this because you are not capable of it. I am. These freaking people have never and will never learn. They'll double down, they'll triple down, they'll quadruple down." But getting back to this, here's the statement that well, here's the governor of North Carolina, Josh Stein. He's also a Democrat, like the previous one, Roy Cooper, and Roy Cooper's in big trouble because this is on his hands. But the current governor, Josh Stein, says Roy Cooper's running for Senate, as you know, North Carolina Senate, U.S. Senate seat. Governor Josh Stein from North Carolina says we need more cops on the beat to keep people safe. That's his answer. We need more cops. We don't need any more cops. We need prosecution. We need unwoke prosecutors and we need unwoke judges to put bad guys behind bars like this guy with 14 prior arrests. Again, the average homicide happens after the 11th arrest. 11 arrest average before they kill. This guy had 14. The mayor, in her original statement, which I shared for you yesterday, she came up with a new one 3 weeks later after the national news, the New York Post were calling her saying, do you have any additional comments? Her first comments, her instincts, and her only statement until 3 weeks later when this blew up is, quote, "The suspect appeared to have struggled with mental health and suffered a crisis." Quote, "We will never arrest our way out of issues such as homelessness and mental health." Oh, yes, you will. If this guy would have been arrested and kept in jail, he wouldn't have killed her. It's that simple. Mental health, she writes, is mental health disease is just that, a disease like any other that needs to be treated with the same compassion. Come here. Stab you in the frickin' throat while you're going to give the guy a hug when he's going to stab you in the throat 3 times? No. Just mental health is just that. It's a disease like any other that needs to be treated with the same compassion, diligence, and commitment as cancer of heart or heart disease. This woman's insane. She literally does think that we treat evil people with compassion. She doesn't believe in real evil because if she did, she wouldn't believe in this. Remember, this is her first instinct, and this is what she put out publicly. And they don't just put things out publicly without looking at it, weighing it, and reading it, and going over it with advisors. She says this, she added that people living on the streets are more often victims of crime than the perpetrators, and said she's committed to working to improve services. So, in other words, he's a victim. He's probably more a victim than you'll ever be, and you should have compassion on him like a cancer patient. remember, though, that mayor just released another statement. She did a 180, but that was literally like yesterday and or today after the New York Post reached out to her. A few hours later, she came out with this new statement. Again, 21 days later, um, saying it was a tragic failure by the courts and magistrates. Yeah, 3 weeks later, this woman is a big fat liar, and she's super woke. All the folks who wanted St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, to be canonized, when instead he died from a drug overdose in the custody of Minneapolis police from fentanyl. This is all because of St. George Floyd. Blessed be his name. That's all this is. All the St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, effect. Here's Brian Stelter. Real fast, I'm going to play Brian Stelter in 1 second, but real fast, I got to tell you something. In between all my fill-ins for television and radio, just so many great times I've been having with you. So busy. I have a little bit of time off this week, and I'm so happy for it. I am also doing fundraising with a great group that ministers to people, that cares for women who have been sex trafficked and women who have been incarcerated, helping bring their families together, get the chance when they want to change, they want to get off drugs, and they have no one advocating for them. And they want to have this group that I work with is called Thrive Counseling Services in Dallas Fort Worth. And some of the most powerful things of the stories of the women I can tell you about is one woman saying, I finally had the confidence to ask a judge for a second chance to get my kids back, and now I have my 10-year-old and my 4-year-old. Thank you. These women are pointed to God. They only have one advocate often when they're in a halfway house, getting out of sex, from sex trafficking, getting sober, getting out of incarceration. A lot of them only have a case manager. Nobody else cares about them. Nobody else knows about them. Well, with Thrive Counseling Services, they have an advocate. One of the counselors, Janice, says, I am your advocate. I am her advocate. And of course, Thrive being a ministry, a Christian ministry, that's one of the big reasons why I'm working with them, is they point these women to their ultimate advocate, and that is Christ Jesus. And so these women, many of them have a relationship with the Lord and join a church. Can you imagine growing up in a home where your mom, and this is one of the many clients, where your mom is a drug addict and sells you to men as a child growing up and thinking it was your fault when it was not. So these women have to be completely freed from their chains and so many things. It's so empowering, and it's such a beautiful story to watch. Also, I studied up a lot with Attorney General Ken Paxton. They have a lot of sex trafficking videos. This stuff happened in the Woodlands, $700,000-$800,000 homes right next door. 42 cars coming and going. Some were Porsches, some were Maseratis, some were beaters. And the guy said he called the cops, and the Harris County deputies came over. This is Houston, of course, and they busted up that sex trafficking ring next door in an $800,000 a house neighborhood. And that ring was not only in the Woodlands, it was also in northern Houston, and they were based out of New York City. This crap is happening in DFW where I live and everywhere. Make a big difference. Donate, and just go to, and I'll put it up on the post, but go to North Texas Giving Day. North Texas Giving Day has already started early giving. So we have a match, 1 for 1. Every dollar you give, it's doubled. So I want you to do this. Go to northtexasgivingday.org, right? northtexasgivingday.org, and then type in Thrive Counseling Services. Thrive Counseling Services. Look for the little leaves. That is where you go and donate whatever you can. $5, $10, $100, $15. I don't care. You're going to double it. We have a match. So please do that. Google North Texas Giving Day and then type in Thrive Counseling Services. All right, let's get back to this. Here's Brian Stelter's audio. This guy's just listen to him though. He's like, you need me to read the tea leaves. You need me. Don't look at the video. No, it's horrible. And it's being used by MAGA. I'll watch it for you and I'll tell you what to think. It's over, the video's over here. You're over there. I'm going to watch it without you. And then I'm going to tell you what to think so you don't see it because you're too stupid, naive, and you might go MAGA. Listen to this. I can't find a better word than ass clown. Here he is.
Other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death a symbol of big city crime. We heard President Trump asked about it yesterday when he was heading home from New York City. He didn't seem to know much about it.
He has such a lisp. It's so off-putting.
He said he would get briefed, and then today Trump did know all about it. That's exactly what has happened here. This story has trickled up from local news to social media and now to the president's attention, and it's being used, as you said, Brianna, as a political symbol, with MAGA media calling for more forceful punishments and more incarceration.
Who the hell is MAGA media calling for more? Everybody wants more incarceration. Well, if you have a freaking brain. Anyways,
I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist, stoking fear of African Americans.
see, I have to look at this because it's all racist. It's all racist. Don't look at the video. Don't look at the comments because it's racist. MAGA, racist, racist, MAGA, MAGA, racist. I'll watch it, and I'm telling you, it's all racist. Don't look at it. He's mad. He and all the media establishment are mad because they didn't report about this. They didn't define it. We did. Our side did because we saw it, we reacted to it, and we're outraged by it, and we're disgusted by it. He's mad that this came out. He's mad that you're seeing it for yourself. He wants to be the barricade between you and the truth. I'm not ripping my Catholic folks, but you don't have to go through a priest to go to God. It's like this gatekeeper thing. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not trying to rip on the Catholic, but I'm just saying it's like, I can't go to God. I have to go through a priest. No, you don't. Or I can't watch this video. No, MAGA, racism. But Brian Stelter will watch it for you. Let's continue on.
Because this man attacked a white woman. The open racism on sites like X today, it's eye popping. But there
Okay, again, don't look at it. Don't go on Twitter. I hate calling it X. Don't go on Twitter. It's all eye popping. It's racist. Racism ever. Racism. Ah! I'll watch it for you. And by the way, it's racist and MAGA. I didn't see anything racist in there. I'm sure there's racist crap in there, people. But you and I are not bleeping morons. We can figure this out for ourselves, and we don't need this turd, this lisp heavy turd, telling us what to think. Let me play on here.
are also legitimate questions about this so-called career criminal, someone who had been a repeat offender. And those questions, I hope they're not lost amid all of the cesspool kind of comments on social media.
There we go. Thank you, Brian. There we go. Get a little action while we're hearing that they call him Potato Head, blah, blah, blah. He's just a super lisp. I can't believe some lady procreated with that guy. I can't believe he has a child. It's shocking to me. Such a little turd. He really is, but that's okay. And then here's from Axios. The video is easily shared or leaked and can instantly pollinate across social media. And so I wrote, they want this one hidden. They want this one hidden. They don't want you to watch it. They don't want you knowing about it. That's why they ignored it. Well, we are making sure that they don't ignore it. And then this from the White House, the comments about all these lies about the cops and arresting people. We need more law enforcement. We don't need one more cop. In fact, Abigail Marone, one of the spokespeople for the White House, she's the deputy press secretary. She wrote, "The police did their jobs. You, mayor and prosecutors and judges, you did not do your jobs." A little bit more for you here. Gallup poll just came in that shows 66% of Democrats have a favorable opinion of socialism. 66% of Democrats have a favorable opinion of socialism. This is real simple. This is my theory. I believe that a lot of people have not been taught about socialism in the public schools nor at home. I am so grateful that we did homeschooling. I thought my wife was nuts. I thought she was crazy. When she came to me, we were in Middle Georgia, in between Atlanta and Dallas Fort Worth. And my son was in the middle of first grade, and she'd been telling me for months, "I'm thinking about homeschooling. I'm thinking about homeschooling. God's calling me to homeschool." But she did a lot of research. She read a lot of books, and so we stepped out in faith. It was her um, idea and her pushing it, and so I was terrified. Like every year, I'm like, "Oh, my kids, are they going to learn? Are we going to fall behind?" Um, so every not at the young age of 5 or 6, and I remember the people at the school saying, "Are you sure you wanna do this? Are you sure you're gonna be able to do this?" They looked at us like we were nuts, but we did it, and we sacrificed a lot. We had she didn't do full-time work for 20 years, I don't know what it was, 15 years, and we sacrificed a lot, but God provided. And, every 2 or 3 years, when they got older, every year or every other year, we did testing, and we did, like, this old California state test from, like, the '70s, which was the best of the best. They haven't done tests like that in California in like 40 or 50 years. Some kind of a state standardized test. And my kids always did at or above, if not higher. particularly mimicking me with, with, like, writing, reading comprehension way high, science, particularly somewhat low, except for my son, he's better. My daughter and I are like carbon copies. But, in that homeschooling curriculum, I learned more than I ever learned in my public school, and I learned very little comparatively speaking. I learned so much about socialism and about slavery and about war and about the Civil War and about the history of our country. Literally, there was no way. I kept telling my son, "This was not supposed to happen. This country, there is no way. It's impossible, and nothing's impossible with God." And that's what happened with this great country of ours. But I think the reason why you have 66% of Democrats having a favorable opinion of socialism is because they don't even know. And I want you to know who's going to elect Zoran Mandami. And by the way, I'm proud to say that I had, you can look on social media. I should have put it up for you here. Maybe I'll put it up tomorrow if I remember. New York mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa. I was his intern in 1995, and I saw him last week when I was in New York doing a week of network shows for Premier Radio Networks, their morning show. Did it from Manhattan and had a convention there for broadcasting that I had to go to for talk radio. And Curtis was there, and I hadn't seen him since I was his intern 30 freaking years ago. It's pretty funny. Literally almost 30 years and 2 months ago, something like that, or a month ago. I got to pull my phone. I left it on. Turn it off. So I learned more about socialism, but I don't think the kids have learned about socialism. I don't think the kids have learned about social. Well, they're adults now. I'm sorry. I don't think that our kids are learning about socialism, communism, Marxism for the most part. Um, I think particularly socialism. How many millions of people have been starved to death, killed in the name of socialism? So, and second of all, was Rohan Mandami. He's going to win. And he's going to win because if you look at the night he won the primary, Democrat primary, look in that audience cheering and jumping. They're all white and they're all young, 20s and 30s, making between 100,000 to 300,000 or more a year. White, unmarried, elitist liberals who are ignorant about our history and who are trained up in socialism and to think it's incredible and awesome in these leftist institutions whose parents did not teach them the truth and did not share ills from things like socialism and communism, they're screwed, and that's where they're putting us. And so the only question is, have has our population as a whole learned more about socialism and such than not? I fear not. So I think he's going to win. But my old boss from my internship in '95, Curtis Lewa. You know what I told everybody in the talk radio business that I was hanging with this past week in New York, and where Curtis came and he spoke. Got a lifetime achievement award because he's been a talk radio host for like 30 something years in New York City, and he's such an entertainer. What I love telling everybody is what I'm going to tell you. He's a really nice guy. I mean, he never treated me negatively. He never yelled at me. Never did. I'm gonna tell you something. There's a lot of a holes in this business, particularly back then at that level. And there were some that were a holes to me that were big time, at least in New York City. He was a sweetheart. He was a nice guy. And he let me do. I did a remote broadcast with him for. They did a weekend remote at the Museum of Broadcast Communications in Manhattan. I got to hold the microphone in the crowd and talk with listeners. I was on the air in Market One, the biggest market in the country. When I was, I don't know what I was, 95. I was 22. All right. So anyway, and here's a vile thing about Mandami. Mandami is promising to dump Israel bonds from New York. Now, if he's the mayor of New York, which he will be, unfortunately, he says he'll directly direct the city to dump its Israel bonds because they implicate the city in violations of international law. Quote, a pension fund that purchases Israeli bonds, in my view, is clearly an indication of a conflict with our values, and we know that our values are actually within the framework of international law. Of course, he does not cite, Breitbart News says, he does not cite the law which Israel has violated. In fact, it was Hamas that violated international law by invading and breaking a ceasefire on October 7th and killing, slaughtering, raping, torturing, and kidnapping Jews. And remember, it was Zohar Mandami that won't condemn, globalize the Intifada, which means slaughter Jews, blow yourself up on a bus, kill Jews, blow them up in a cafeteria like they did at the colleges in Israel. Zohar Mandami is an anti-Semite. He hates Jews. He wants to see Israel blown off the map. He wants to see every Jew in this country, in this world, wiped out. I seriously believe. It is horribly scary where people are taking. I won't say us, but them. And there was just a thing I heard today over the weekend. I think it was Bernie Sanders, Bernie, Chris, I'm a big fan of your show. Chris, healthcare. Bernie had a rally with AOC and for Zorhan, and he was like saying the Democrats should be jumping up and down endorsing you, and he's basically like, we are the Democrat Party, we're going to keep pushing this forward. So that's that the there's very few mainstream Democrats anymore, but the not mainstream, but uh, radical Dems close to mainstream. You know what I'm saying? Like what's his name, Hakeem Jeffries and stuff. They're not moderates in any way, shape, or form. But even he and Chuck Schumer won't endorse this guy, but they're afraid to say anything bad about him or not endorse him publicly because that is what's happened. The party is afraid to stand up to Jew haters, communists, socialists, Marxists, and so it'll destroy itself. But you never know. So there we are. Um, I'm gonna have to get into this more tomorrow. We're getting short on time, but Daniel Perry. Do you remember Daniel Perry? He was the guy on the night of the Floyd riots, St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, riots in Austin, Texas, and there was a man surrounded in downtown Austin. He was an Uber driver, and these thugs surrounded him. One of them shot his car 3 times. One of them held up a gun right towards his face, and that's who he popped and dropped. Remember, he was charged with murder, and Governor Greg Abbott pardoned him. This is the depth of these wicked leftists that, like I've been describing here up until just now for the past 27 minutes, 26 minutes. Um, this guy is now being charged. The liberal Democrat Soros-backed prosecutor in Austin and Travis County has now filed new charges, deadly conduct. He's looking at prosecuting deadly conduct. And he says, whoa, he was texting while driving. Whoa, he was turning right at a red light without first coming to a complete stop. Whoa, he was turning into an intersection where pedestrians were visible in the crosswalk by driving into a group of people on the roadway. This is total BS. I'm gonna have to do this tomorrow because I want to rush. We're gonna get into that tomorrow. Okay, so don't miss that.